Okay, so I just watched this movie called I Wander Darkly, and it's on Hulu, and it showed so much of what it was like when I got my brain injury. And the movie's about an accident that happens, and it's really good, but it's not so much about the story that I'm talking about. It's about the way they showed the story, because the way they showed the story was what was real to me. So in the movie, she gets brain injury too. And so everything becomes disjointed, and it's like you go into another world. And that's why I've said like time stopped existing, and how I started being able to skip around to different realities, and how I began to see like really what reality is. And I mean, I didn't get the full grasp of it till 2020, how it's controlled and stuff. But this, everything is moments. Everything is what's happening for you in that moment, in that reality. That is your reality. What is happening right then and right there. And you create it. You create what is happening right then and right there. And so, she is going, she's like reality jumping. It's like just moving seamlessly from one to another. And, when that started happening to me, and it started being like, what the hell is, it was very confusing. I felt like I was losing time or something. I felt like I was losing my grasp on, I knew that something was wrong with me. I just couldn't fully understand what the hell was happening. Like people would come up and start talking to me, and I'd have no idea who they were. And, that right there was such a mind fuck. So what I realize is, okay, so you want me to try and explain? Let's see how I do on this. So you are a consciousness. You're in a state of consciousness. And like I said, people come in and out of your orbit. And it's coming in and out of your reality for specific things. But that is the real moment, that moment of interaction, of learning and stuff from this person or people or event or whatever it is. They're all like captured moments in time. It is like space and time is like all of us out just dancing in space as energy, just movement and color. Which also, by the way, that movie that was showing about the astral projection, they also looked exactly, when they came out of their body, they looked exactly like what that documentary showed what stars look like up close. And or if you could see them really with a really high advanced telescope. So so if you imagine, like, we're consciousness, we're out just in empty space, we're just, in like, we are just out in space, like, dancing around and just in movement. And kind of like when I hear him talking to me and stuff, it isn't like a disjointed voice. Like, you can hear him loud and clear. You can tell there's different ones talking to you. And sometimes too, I'll hear them and it's kind of like they're, yelling from another room or something. But those disjointed voices, like when they show that in movies, like where people hear something and they're turning, like, what was that? It is consciousness out there kind of whispering and moving and talking to you. And they can focus on you. Like I said, we are a projection of our own energy, but our own energy, our own essence of who we are, can project in several different realities. And all of the different projections are only having what is that experience to have. So if you get and the ones to be birthed into. So you're birthed into an existence. And so you go through these different realities. So, as a soul, we come into this one to do all this stuff, to have this experience. But I'm talking about our consciousness, our true state of being, because that's what we're learning about through all of this. We're learning about our true state of being and our consciousness, because that's what's going to give us control over our stories, over our situations, over our state of being, is to understand who and what we are and what control we really have. And so, for instance, like, I have these tattoos because I believe I have these tattoos. I believe I went through the pain to have these tattoos, and I believe they're on me. But I could just as easily have them not be on me. It's all in my state of consciousness. It's all in what I focus on. It's all in what I see. And what's weird too about the tattoos is, like, I can go out and be doing something. Like, I could just be out shopping around in the summertime and, have a sundress on and have people coming up to me. Oh my God, I love your tattoos. Oh my God, I love them. And stuff like that. And I won't even remember, like, when they start talking to me, I'll be like, what are they talking about? I won't even remember, because to me, in my mind, my skin is not have anything on it. I'm not focused on that. So I'm not seeing that. But I am representing myself as I believe myself to be. So it's a weird when you start really understanding about states of consciousness and how we focus on things. But I really believe this is a significant thing about this evolution of mankind. And another thing that is trippy. So I'm going to keep talking about this reality thing, but yesterday I was also watching this movie last night, and it was this supernatural, like, this entity that could parasite off of other living beings and suck the life out of them. And, that is, that is something that's real. That, parasitic energy can suck the life out of you. And it happens even in real life. That's where you get these emotional vampires and stuff like that, because they suck your energy dry because of their needs and what they want and what they're focused on. And then we allow it because we don't empower ourselves to pull our own energy into ourselves. We give it away because we're looking for something outside of us. So in this one, she, one of these supernatural beings, it put a mark on. It was really cool how they did the whole thing, because they put a stamp, and so it was like they claimed them. But they said, hey, can I put this stamp on you? And then you say yes, then you're inviting it. So this whole concept of inviting an energy in, that's real. Like, when you think about how they would have vampires and stuff, and they say you have to be invited in, or witches or whatever, you have to invite them in, you have to invite them in your house. It's the same thing. Your house being you, being your energy, being your image of what and who and what you are. So you have to invite them in. All of the different people who come into your orbit, right? You have allowed them in, except for who you are birthed to. Like, when you come into this world, you don't have, but you choose that before you come in. So really, you do have control over it, but it doesn't feel like you have control of it when you are in the world in the beginning. But after that, after you go out into the world, you invite people into your orbit, and sometimes they aren't good for you. And, sometimes they're super toxic, but they're there to teach you, what to allow and what not to allow. And some can just, suck the life right out of you. And so in this, this girl, she has to learn her own powers to try and save somebody else. And it's really cool how they were showing that too, because it was in another state of consciousness. But in these other states of consciousness, it's just as real. Just like when you can have a dream and it feels real, because it's a state of consciousness. Just like this right here, what we're doing right now is a state of consciousness. And so the thing that they have. Okay, so if you're going through and you're just, going and you're having these moments in time, and sometimes you can have moments in between when you're by yourself, but you are doing something. Even if you're not doing anything, it is something because you are focused on it. So you are focused on whatever you're doing or not doing and experiencing. So therefore it is real. And in this reality, how they pull our focus, because it's what you focus on. So it is where you focus is your reality that you are creating and making it real. And so, what they've done is pull our focus, pull our consciousness in so that they can control it. And all of these people who believe that this is real life and stuff, is because they have their state of consciousness is like I said before, it is, like barnacles on a ship or something, and like they don't even know that they can exist without the ship. They think that, this is real life when this isn't even life. This is because you can't die. It's just another state of being. And it's, so what we're witnessing essentially is that people have surrendered their state of consciousness, their own development of their own reality, so that someone else can create their reality. And as much as we attach to that reality is how real that reality becomes. Because if you pull free from that reality ceases to exist. Wherever you're focused on is your real reality. And how you look at it is your state of being. So if you are, because essentially, really, we are just energy that is having an experience. We're choosing this experience because there is a significance to this experience in our growth, in how we are going to be set free, and how we're going to learn about our state of consciousness and the control that we have. And I think that has a lot to do with the med beds and stuff, because we're going to learn how we can control our physical by our own minds, because the only reason we can't is because we believe we can't. Oh, just like in that movie. So there was really some interesting things. I even wrote them down because I didn't want to forget. But one of them, this girl who's trying to learn her own powers to save somebody else, she is talking to this, it's not a witch, but it's the same, essentially somebody who understands their powers. That's how we would label them. That's what we would call them, a witch. So, he would seem like a witch, but he's a parasitic energy who thrives and lives off of other people's energy, so he can keep going and going and going. So he's a supernatural being. And he's talking to this girl, and she says something like, there's some conversation about being human. And it was, all of a sudden it clicked to me, that's a limitation right there. To limit ourselves by calling ourselves human, then we have, that has to be defined to us. What is human? What is humanity? What is it to be a man? What is it to be a woman? So that is defined to us. So we conform ourselves. We are like clay that molds ourselves into the state of being that we believe is a human being, a man, a woman. So we form ourselves into that concept for ourselves to have that experience. So that I thought was really interesting, because, there's so much about, humans. And yesterday I also saw some guy, it was on a TikTok thing and somebody shared it. It was some guy who has written some books and stuff. He's some, elite, one of those people, somebody who's out to destroy us. And he was talking about, something with, I completely lost my, it happens every time I start giving the back part. It was something about consciousness. I'm sure it'll come back to me as soon as I stop trying to force it to remember. but it was something with him, talking about, because he said that, he goes through all this nefarious stuff that they're planned for us and stuff. But at the end, he said that we're going to really begin to understand something about what it is to be alive and what it is to be. I can't remember what the exact words were, but that is what we are going to be learning about, is our state of consciousness, what it is to be alive, and how it is that we create life for ourselves so we can go through an experience, and how we are so confused at this time to not understand, because that's why everything just is so confusing, because it is such a difference in states of consciousness as people are waking up. And so there was another thing, let me see if I can find it, because I was writing a bunch of stuff down, but and about spells, because we're casting spells all the time with our words. I think it's part of the reason why they developed this language, but the casting the spells is setting a reality, because when we say it, then we believe it, and so we create it. And so we create all of these different realities by speaking them into existence, by believing that they will be, because nothing is unless we believe it is. Nothing is unless we are focused on it. We're putting our energy towards it, so we're seeing it. Because really, we are just energy in space, in time, just moving around, and in sound and vibration. And so in this, where we believe we are real, because we use these senses so that we can understand and experience. And so in the experience, it is to go through the different contacts that we make, with the different soul contracts, so that we can, learn and grow and expand ourselves. So there's like a whole purpose to it. It's not like by accident that this happens. Like so many people believe like it's just an accident that we're born. It's an accident that we exist and stuff like that. No, we are creating it ourselves. And that's why I say there's nobody you can pray to higher than yourself. Yourself is the creator of your existence, and it's part of the storyline here to keep people trapped and to keep them submissive, so that they create a story so that you believe that there's somebody over you. And not only that, they have control over your future, your existence, your infinity. What will happen to you forever? Will you go up through the pearly gates, or will you go down and burn in the gates of hell? So, they used fear. Fear has been used for so long to get people to submit and to be submissive in their lives. But we don't have to be. We don't have to be any of the things that they tell us to be, because we have to be the ones, that pull free to see through it, to understand really that we are so much more bigger and powerful. And there's a big reason why they would be fearful that we would figure it out, because, I think that, there'll be people that'll be coming for them, but they cease to exist when we stop giving them the power. When we stop giving our focus to them, they cease to exist. But see, we have to realize that they're there. And that's what so many people haven't realized, that they're there, that somebody has captured your conscious state of being and is, creating a reality to make you pull your focus in on their reality, so that you stay focused. And to the point where they could enslave a person for their whole life. This is, it's very interesting. It's quite full of intrigue, like how they have developed so much to be able to do that. You're born into a system that is so designed and has been so manufactured for so long, and it is all based on the taking control of your consciousness instead of you controlling your consciousness. So they control your consciousness. And so then, that's why so many people just feel like whipped by life, because they don't realize that they have control of their consciousness. And so that is what, like, it is unfolding, where people are starting to understand, like, oh, so I'm manifesting my own future. I'm creating what my future is by how I look at it. Like, if I think I'm deserving and I think I can have, my deepest desires, then I can create them, because that is what I believe I will have. If I think I'm not deserving and I only have the worst and everything bad happens to me, then I will create that, because I'm here to experience that. And a lot of people are there to experience it so that they can see that they do have control, but they have to learn. It's all about this empowerment. Just like when, I was in these relationships where people would have been like, you're just in abusive relationships, you're just weak, you just go with abusive people. And then when I, for myself, learned my role in my life that I had created for myself, and I wasn't blaming others, I wasn't being a victim, I was noticing what I had done, what part I was playing. That is when you can pull free, when you see your part. But if you're constantly the victim and it's everybody else's fault why things are happening, then you are still under their control. So that's why I talk about the empowerment of realizing your role in your life, because that is when things change. And people will be like, well, so I always have to be the one who changes. Everybody else can just do what they want. I have to change. But when you change, it empowers you. So, yeah, people can spin out around me. And it can be very frustrating, because I don't have somebody else that's on my level. There's nobody else on my level that I can actually talk to. That, most of the people are very connected into this reality. Oh, that was another thing that I found fascinating in the one last night with the supernatural one, that this being got her little brother's energy. And the mom thinks the child's sick, and the daughter has an awareness, like I do, of this supernatural world around us. Like, she had an awareness of that, ever since she was little. So I felt like this scene was so familiar to me, because she was trying to tell her mom, he's possessed. She's trying to explain what's really going on, but the mom's so focused on the three-dimensional and wants to listen to the doctor and wants to figure out, what the doctor's saying, and in the physical. So she's just focused on that, and the girl sounds crazy. And I was like, but the girl knew what was really going on. The girl could see through it. The girl could see beyond the illusion, but they were so focused on the illusion. They were so focused on and all these people are playing their parts. So we all start beginning to interact as we are focused on this three-dimensional existence. And it is, that's why it's so frustrating. Like, when you're trying to talk to somebody and you're trying to tell them something truthful, and they just keep going back to this three-dimensional existence that you have realized doesn't even really exist, because you can see through it. You've already pulled free. You can see it's only there because you're letting it be there. It's because you're focused on it. It's because you are playing into the game. You're playing a part in this system. So it is this pulling free from that, and a focus on yourself and connecting with yourself. And, another thing too, I'll just put this in there too. Like, I was doing, my stretches last night. And this is what I'm talking about, where you tune into your body. Because when you tune into your body and like doing your stretches or something, you don't have to do the stretches like that they show you. Tune into your body and see what your body wants to do, which way it wants to stretch and how it wants to move, because it really will do what it needs to do. So if you're trying to force something because this person said, oh, well, this is what you need to do, it doesn't ever have the same significance as when you just tune into self and you just move in those kinds of what feels right to you, pull into the direction that feels right, and then, push out and pull free. There's movement and stuff that your body creates for itself, but you have to tune into it. And just like, with the eating and stuff, where I think that, people don't understand the whole thing about tuning into your body and, seeing what it wants and what it needs and stuff, but that is a process that, just the more you tune into it and the more you ask the questions and the more you listen for the answers, the more it will develop into the language that you understand. You don't need anybody else to explain stuff to you, because it's just this tuning into self. But we're so used to looking outside of ourselves that the concept of looking inside of yourself, it's like, how could there be answers in there? How can I find love in there? How can I find acceptance in there? We're so programmed to look outside of ourselves, but that is the programming that gets us to continue to look outside of ourselves, is because they trap us into create this reality of we are creating it, even though it's just moments in time. There is nothing real that is, everything is disjointed. Nothing is connected like we think. We think we're looking for these connections outside of ourselves, but they're really not there. We manufacture them in our heads because we believe that they are there. So we think like these moments in time, like me being at this place by myself for so long. I have created this existence of being here, and that this existence of being here. So life is going on outside of here for everybody else, but mine is in here. So to, this, even though there's nobody else that is involved, it is still my consciousness that is having a reality that I am learning about. Like, I'm learning a lot about this kind of stuff, really. Yeah, I think that when you spend time by yourself, you really open yourself up to more information and more understanding about yourself and the world and stuff, because you don't have all of the distractions that are created. Like, I go in and watch movies, but the movies I watch are usually, help me understand something more. But that is because that is what I'm focused on. If I turn on a movie and it's just some stupid shallow shit, I'll just turn it off. It rubs me the wrong way. Oh, that was also another thing I thought was really good in the movie I watched this morning. The one, I don't remember what it was called. deeply, no, it wasn't deep. Dark water, no. I don't know what it was called. I said it earlier. But that she, how do I do this all the time? Something about, being able to, when she keeps skipping around in the realities and keeps going in and out of different ones, that is just so true. And when the very first starts, I don't want to give the movie away. If you want to watch it and be surprised about stuff, then don't listen to what I'm saying. Go watch it and then, but at first, when it seems that she's dead and she is going in and out of realities, I was like, that is really what it is like when somebody crosses over, that they are, when they transition out of this reality, they're still semi in this reality. They don't know how to really detach. So they go around to the different people who they know in this reality, because you're still connected to them. And that's why I said, even after somebody passes, you can call them back to you all the time. And because we are all connected, because we are all this just out here in this space around us. And so she, when she thinks she's dead, and she's just hopping from reality to reality, that's where I was like, oh my God. I even thought I was dead at one point. I remember one time sitting in my car And I was just sitting in there and I was just crying and crying and crying. And I was like, oh my God, I'm really dead. I'm not even here anymore. I died in the hospital. I'm probably in a coma. That's what's happening, because everything becomes so disjointed and you don't have those moments between moments. You're just like skipping from one reality to a next. But that is what is real. The only thing is that we think it's something else. So we create the filler. We create what we believe, like if you think, okay, well, life is real because, I was by myself. And so when I was drying my hair this morning, and I, and I said before how there always is, like, I swear to God, every time I'm standing there in front of that freaking sink in that mirror, there starts being all of these beings that come around. Like, I can see them. I always have to turn and look. I can see them so clearly. And I'm always wondering, like, why are they here? What are they trying to show me or tell me? And so this morning, when I was drying my hair, all of a sudden I got the image of, if you just saw a visual of somebody standing, like it could be out in space, like there's nothing else around them but this room with this mirror, with this blow dryer, and them standing there focused on their hair and what they're focused on in their mind, what they're focused on. That is all that exists right there in that moment. And what is happening around them is everything else. So all of this, what I see as like beings and stuff, is just other existence, other realities happening around me. But I'm focused on the reality at hand. I'm focused on drying my hair. So that's what's real to me at that time. And, but you could go and sit and focus on the beings around you and enter into their reality. I mean, people do it. People have learned how to lucid dream and astral project and go into these other realities, but it's all just a state of consciousness. And like I've said before, it kind of gets me creeped out, like to, go out and leave, because there's just a feeling of like too much open space and who's in control of it or something. I don't know how to explain it, but there is, to me, a reason why we are in these little, space suits to come into this reality. So I don't know. It kind of trips me out. There's like a difference when you focus on taking your soul out of your body and going somewhere, and then when you're just asleep and it happens naturally. There's just like, there's some kind of difference to it, to me. But I don't really, because this is all, it's just starting to learn about consciousness. So I don't know everything. Everything is just, kind of unfolding for me as well, in my deeper understanding of consciousness and the control we have over it, and this reality, and what we really are, and how all of this really works. And but there was something else I wanted to say about that movie this morning. It wasn't what I was gonna say. There was something else that she did or said that I thought was like, oh yeah, this is I can't remember. But our memories, and this is another thing too, is like, if you take 2 or 3 people and you have them remember back to a certain incident, they're all going to remember it differently, and they're all going to remember it, the way that they think it, the way that they see it. That's going to be what's real. That's what, sometimes creates arguments. No, that's not how it happened. No, that didn't happen. But it is that consciousness reality. So it's how they see it. And so we don't all see things the same way. I don't even believe that when we, like I said before, like when we're at a party and we think we're in the same room, we're still not even having a connected experience. We're still having an individual experience. And that's why, I was talking about this where we're coming connected, where we're pulling free from this system and connecting and creating unity, is where we begin to have the same experience. We begin to have something in common with our experience. And that is, part of this awakening where we're seeing things, all of us are seeing the same thing and we are understanding things similarly. But, like I said, it's a slow process for a lot of people. And, so you could be talking to somebody about something real and all of a sudden they're back to talking about something that isn't real. Like that girl yesterday I was talking about, and how much people don't think things through and just, submit to whatever this conscious state of being is telling them, to be progressive. That's the way you want to be. And being progressive means that you don't define your child by its gender and you allow it to just develop itself. Okay, well, yeah, you do need to let someone develop themselves and accept them as they develop themselves, but we teach them to love themselves and that they're here to have an experience in the body that they are born into, that there's a reason for it. But when you don't think there's a reason for anything, you think like the things that don't matter are things that you need to change. And it shows that it just keeps creating more sadness in people, more confusion. And there wouldn't be so many people with I can't believe how many of these people I see this transition and then they detransition or whatever it's called. They go back and they document it. They document the first part, they document going back because they go and find this isn't the answer. Just like, chasing money, finding success in this world and then finding out, wait, this doesn't make me happy. They said that this would make me happy. They said this would make me feel better. This would make me whole if I was successful, but it won't. That there's always chasing something outside of you and it's not going to cure what's inside of you. You have to go inside of yourself to figure out how to heal yourself so that you can have these, this content kind of more feeling of loving and accepting yourself than constantly trying to change yourself to fit into these ideas that are given to us so that we will, we're programmed into us so that we will become what it is that we are told that we need to become. And then how strict and defined they are. So if you're outside the box in any way, then you're a crazy person, And like I've said, I've already received that label. And I am just, lucky that I don't have a bunch of people around me, that think that there's a pill that I can take. Otherwise, they'd probably strap me down and inject me because I talk about things that people don't understand. And so if I'm talking about something somebody doesn't understand, well, then it must not be real because what they're telling you is what's real. But what they're telling you isn't real. It's you have to go out and find what reality really is by breaking free from this system. And but really there is. It's just moments. And like I said the other day about, when I started realizing about with time that there was no real time because it depends on the moment you're in, if you want it to end or you want it to keep going. And then, that you have the filler, but the filler is when you are focused like, okay, well, I've got to get to this other place. So I have to drive. So I have to focus on my drive. So you are creating that filler moment to get to the next reality. You need time to, think about something. So you create that moment so that you can go in and explore those thoughts and understand. A lot of it is our understanding is just a lot about blaming, it's somebody else's fault. And that is because we don't feel empowered in our own selves, and we feel victimized by life in the world. But when you start taking control of that, and you start seeing that we create these different moments, and we have control over the reality. We have control over how we enter a room, how we enter a situation, what we're putting out. That's why I said, like, when you leave the room, do people want more, or are they like glad to see you go? That is, to show you who you are, so that you can understand you. And because this is all an exploration of self. This is, like if you think about flying into the moon so you could explore the moon. Well, this is consciousness flying into being birthed to explore itself. And itself was, first, we were going through these realities to understand who and what were, so that we could grow and expand our state of being. And now, though, as this age is ending and we are moving into this other state of being, it is to understand really what consciousness is. Like, we learned those lessons. Now we're going to develop ourselves. Now we're going to begin to understand what is consciousness, what is the existence of consciousness, what control does consciousness have over itself. And like I said, like one thing that too I was thinking about last night was like, with all the toxins and the chemicals, even the going blind thing, is it can't happen unless we allow it to happen. So the only reason that those chemicals can affect us is because we believe they will affect us. And I think that goes back to like what I was talking about before as a nurse, when you find people who are sick, like when I had Hep C, obviously, I didn't have any idea I had it. If somebody would have diagnosed me when I had it, I could have gone into, a tailspin and thought, oh my God, I'm about to die. I've got liver disease. And then, I'm going to start creating this liver problem for myself because I believe that's what's going to happen. But so I saw this a lot of times in the hospital where, somebody doesn't know they're sick. And as soon as they find out they're sick, then they will die. They will manifest their sickness instead of fighting their sickness. We have the abilities to fight these sicknesses and to heal ourselves, but it's because of what we believe. So these toxins and stuff could have no effect on us if we got to that state of mind where we could understand that none of it's real. Nothing is real. Like like these tattoos would disappear off of my skin if I stopped believing that I went and got them put on. Like it's a hard concept, I think, to understand until you understand it. And it's really hard to explain it because, there's not, I don't know if I explain it to the point where I understand it, but, even if it's just planting seeds for people, it helps them to start looking and questioning things and understanding things differently, because really we are just participating. We're participating in this world, and it is, it has to go through this process so that, those of us who do, who are going to carry on from this, that we can see and understand it so that we can start really beginning to focus on that other state of being so that we can move out of that. I think that is where it's going to become like where we can start traveling without cars and stuff. We can start, there's a lot of stuff that I've heard about, with the technology and consciousness and how things are going to change. And, it is going to go into a world where, you would think it is very spiritual, but it's going to be because we've all gone inside of ourselves. We've all developed ourselves. We've all begun to understand our states of consciousness. And, it's going to be, the people who can control themselves more are going to be the ones who are teaching others how to do it. You know, when people, like I said, I had seen that where there was people who started being able to move things with their mind. And, you know, I practice that kind of stuff. And, you know, when you begin to master it, and see, everybody will be teaching each other how we did it, you know, of all the different things. You know, that's why I said before, even if for your body, if you go like, oh, I really liked how fit I felt when I was like, I don't know, 25, 35, wherever. People have different time periods where they felt like they came into their own, you know, because lots of guys are super thin, and then, you know, they get more bulky as they get aged up, and then they like that, you know, and then some women like their bodies better when it gets curvier. You know, it's an individual thing, what you like about yourself and what you don't like about yourself, but we create that for ourselves. So and then, you know, it's part of the programming that get you to believe like that you're something different, that, you know, you're going to age, you're going to get old, you're going to die. That's all part of the programming. And when you really start looking at yourself as like I said, you can program yourself to go back to that state of being. You can tell yourself like, I want to be back to you know, being in that kind of shape. And your body will tell you how to do it. And you just have to focus on it and not focus on what they tell you. Oh no, you're too old. Oh no, you're going to die. Oh, you know, all that stuff. I saw, oh, that documentary that I was watching yesterday. Oh my God. That documentary was really, really good. And it really had a lot of interesting things. The one with the pyramid schemes and the guy who worked for the power company and all of his shady shit with Saudi Arabia. And I mean, the stuff that goes on. But and another interesting thing too is, you know, these Hampton people there, these rich people who, you know, and these were women, of course, that they were, you know, coming up with a scheme so that they could all make money for themselves and not have the government involved. But once the government figured it out, then, you know, they arrest them and put them in jail. You know, we allow that. We've allowed them to tell us this stuff, to create their rules and laws so that they can control us. I mean, that's why everything in the judicial makes no sense. Why it is, you know, there's no set thing. You know, somebody can do a crime that is a severe crime and get, you know, a slap on the wrist. Somebody else can do something, you know, like they'll put somebody in prison. I mean, there's people who got life in prison, you know, however long ago, for having a joint, you know, and they're probably still in prison. I know that there was, I don't remember if it was Trump or somebody. It seemed like somebody was letting some of the people out. It was Trump. He was letting some of those people out, like, you know, like they had gone way beyond what their crime was, because the judicial it's not really a said thing. It's just to control us. It's just to create chaos for us, but we allow it. We allow it. And they think that they have, you know, they have control over us, but because we give it to them. And I mean, the whole thing just goes so, you know, into the whole thing about being born and them giving you the number and this maritime laws, how they figure that they have control over us, and, you know, we play along, and, you know, but we're moving out of that state of consciousness and moving into this other one, and this one where we will have mastery. We will be able to figure out how to heal ourselves and, you know, to move through space and time differently. And I just think that there's a lot to this whole thing that's going to be happening in this transition. Like, we still have to go through the part to get everybody to be focused on the same thing, to realize what reality is, and that this reality that's created isn't real. And anyways, I think I'm just repeating myself, but there was some other things that you know, forgot, I started to say, and then I forgot what I was going to say. So if those come back to me, I'll come back and try and explain them more. But anyways, the best that you can start really understanding is that you exist only in moments of time, because you are creating those moments of time, and everything else is just a distraction. It's where you focus your energy, where you focus your consciousness. What you're focused on is all that's real. That's the only thing that exists, is where you're focused at that moment. So anyways, it has to do with, she's trying to get off the couch. It has to do with, are you okay, sweetie? It has to do with, space and time, and your consciousness and where you focus and all of that stuff. So anyways, if I think of those other things, I'll be back. But hopefully I gave you something to think about today. So I'll talk to you later. Bye.